Hey everyone, Leo with the Dreaming Tree, and welcome to the assembly video for our Bavarian village, Haus B, as in boy. I just finished C, which is over there. It turned out great. I can't wait to see how all three of them look together. But today we're going to put this one together. This is the taller one in the set of three, and it's very similar to the other one. So what we're going to do first is begin by putting together some of the overlays and panels. Now with this one here, there's a little bit of stonework that we added in addition to the wood trim. So you're gonna have two pieces that look like this. And I'm just gonna lay these out so you can see the differences here in the pieces. There's a front and a back and then two sides. You can see that the front and the back are a little bit taller than the two sides, and we're going to get all of these glued together. These are going to go on once we have the actual structure built. So these two pieces here are identical, so it doesn't matter which one you pick to put on these sections here. It doesn't make a difference at all. So we're going to begin by doing that and just kind of getting some of the small stuff put together and out of the way and ready for the next steps. Now, because this piece is rather flimsy, I'm going to use my table to kind of hold it in place while I put my glue on. And there's a little, well, there's kind of, relatively speaking, there's a lot of real estate to cover here with the glue. So it's helpful to keep it nice and sturdy while we apply our glue. And we just want to match this up with the, well, it's basically a rectangle. So just pop it right on, so that the tops, bottoms, and sides all match up. The centers should just kind of automatically fall into place. And I'm going to pop this underneath my mat to let that dry nice and flat. Okay, I'm starting to sound like Dr. Seuss over here. Okay, so next one here, just work your way around the perimeter, and then we'll work the little detail pieces here, just like that. Grab that and put that in place. Very simple little paper piecing portion. And there I am using alliteration now. So yeah, before the end of this one, I'm going to be a poet. Okay, pop that in place, press it down, pop that underneath your mat, let the mat do the rest of the work. Now we've got three sections for this one here. We'll flip this over. And you do not want to put glue on the door portion. That needs to swing freely. And I think even if you did, it would just get stuck to your table at this point. So just avoid that. Keep it down here. There's a set of score marks there for where the hinge of the door is. Don't get any glue above that little score mark. Excuse me. And just pop that into place. Sometimes helps to pick up little pieces like this and just kind of nudge them around just to make sure you got them lined up correctly. Here we go. Perfect. Here we go. Put that underneath my mat. Let that dry flat. And then we can go ahead and put the front of the house on, or the panel, I should say. Here we go. And there we go, just line that up. I'm using this little section here in the center as my focal point when I initially put this down and placed it. And then if you need to kind of nudge it around a bit, totally normal. Okay, and also while we have this piece here, there is this piece that we can put into place. Might as well do it while it's flat. Okay, so let's get our glue on the back of this, and then you'll notice that there's a little score mark on the front of this, and that's for kind of like a star-shaped little handle. So we'll get that glued down as well while we have this nice and flat. You just want to match this up with the cutout for the window. Okay, and then kind of just give it a visual look here to make sure that it's nice and straight. There we go. Okay, and I have my little, it's almost like a diamond or a star, whatever you want to call it. This little shape here, tiny little piece. In my case, it's black. And we'll just throw a couple little dots of glue on there, kind of spread that out a bit, and just pop that right into the little area where you have the little score marks. Okay, and there we go. Okay, so that one's done. You know what, one thing I forgot to do with this piece while we have it flat is put this panel on right here. I'm gonna fold this real quick just so we have it like that. There we go. And we'll just throw a little bit of glue on the back of this. A little bit up at the top there where that little ball is. And just pop that into place like so. We've got a little area there where a little bit of paper still connected there, and that's okay. I can always cut that off with a little, what's it called? X-Acto knife. Okay, so we've got that. All four of the panels are now put together, and we can grab our main structure here, and we need to glue on our vellum. So let's figure out what goes where. Now, obviously, there's only one circular one, so that one's going to go there. And then we have this shape here. That's going to go there. Now, this wider piece here, these are a little bit wider than this one. These are going to cover the set of windows here. Okay. And then we have one of these. That's roughly the same size. That's going to go there. And then we also have this piece here is going to go there, and it looks like I'm actually missing a couple pieces here. There they are. Okay, we've got this large piece there, and then this piece is going to go here. So let's just get our vellum glued down, and I'm putting this on the inside because technically this is more of a decor piece. No one's really going to be looking inside, and I'm just using a series of little dots around the perimeter of each of these openings. Very simple, very quick. Don't use too much, just tiny little dots. And if you want, you can put even smaller dots in the little cross section of the windows with little crosses in them. Okay, just real quick. It's a very simple little process. Don't need to spend too much time on it. Just make sure that you are in fact covering all of the cutouts, like so. There we go. Just like that. Okay, we'll move over to the next one. And again, just around the perimeter, maybe a few little dots inside of the cross area. And pop that down. Doesn't even have to be perfect. This is one of the sections of the project where we'll get the jitters out and get a feel for our glue bottle, just kind of get into a flow, and just really, you can't really make too many mistakes here as long as you're somewhat careful. Okay, pop that into place. Dot, dot, dot. Just like that, give it a good slap. Just like that. And voila. Okay, easy, easy. Very easy. Okay, now one other thing too that we can do, there are a series of these little stones that go straight onto this surface. They're just kind of just hanging out, and this bit of a it's a bit of a kind of like almost like you're doing a puzzle, which I know a lot of you like doing. Just have to figure out which ones fit where. There's no like numbering system on these, so it's a matter of just finding the ones that fit. Okay, this one here looks like it's pretty square. And let me take a look and see. I'm going to use my my prototype to help you guys identify the right pieces here. Okay, so that one there is this piece here. Kind of looks like a little tooth. Okay, that's the one that's going to go right there. So I'm just going to do this now while everything's flat. Just so much easier and quicker. And you'll see the full effect once we get all these in place and put the panels on as well. These will not obstruct the panels in any way, so you don't have to worry about that. Okay, down here is this little piece that looks like this. Okay, just like that. And you know what would also help? I'm doing this during the video, but if you want, you can bring up a photo of the actual product on our website, and I will try to make sure that I take a good picture of all four sides so that you can see exactly where all of these little pieces need to go. Now, as far as the front of the house goes, that is pretty much it for that. Okay, so we'll move over to the left side, and let me see here. We've got a couple pieces here on the left side. One of them looks like this. Okay, that one's going to go right here. So let's throw a little bit of glue right on that guy, and he's going right here. There's little markers there that show you exactly where you need to put it. So just tuck it right in there. And then there is a piece that looks like this. This little guy here. And you'll see it. Once I put it down, it will all kind of click. Okay, that one's going to go there. Perfect. And that is it for that side. So let's go to the back. This is the back right here. And on the back we have this piece here. And that's going to go right up here by the little circular window. So let's get our glue on there. And pop that right into place. Just fit it in like a little puzzle. And then for this section here, it almost looks like I don't have that piece for some reason. Let me see here. Where did it go? Well, I may have misplaced that piece. Interesting. Okay, let's go over to the left side real quick and see what we have left. I have this piece here. It's going to go right in that spot. Right here. There we go. And then we have this little piece here. No, this one here. It kind of looks similar. I'll pop that right in here. Okay, so apparently I had the wrong pieces cut out. I was just missing this last little section here. It's shaped like this, and it's going to go right here. Okay, so we've got all of the individual stones in place. There are a few window trim pieces that we can actually get in place right now. Let's start with the front. This is the front, and there are 3 windows that look like this, and these are all the same size, so it doesn't matter which one you grab. Just grab one of them, and let's begin to put this one in place. As I mentioned, it's just so much easier to do this while the pieces are flat. And I'm just using the little cross section of the window to help me with the alignment. There we go. The rest of this on the front we're gonna have to put on later because we need to put the panels in first. But we do have this window here that we can get in place right now. So let's do that. And then there's 2 small windows there that have less fancy trim that we can glue down as well. So again, just line that up with the little cross section, get that as centered as you can, and press that down. And then you can see these 2 little guys here. are going to use this little piece here. Okay, so we need 2 of those. Should have a total of 4 because there are 2 more like this on the other side. Just match that up with the cutout. Try to get it nice and centered. Okay, grab another one. And let's get that in place. Just itsy bitsy little trim pieces here. Okay, there we go. All right, so that one's done. Let's put that off to the side for a second, and then we can go over to the back. Now this one here, there's a little circular panel, or piece of trim, I should say, for the top window. We'll get that in place. And then there's one that's a little bit more elaborate, just below it. So we'll get that one in place next. Okay, that can actually go on now. There's no trim pieces to prevent you from doing that. So again, just using a series of little dots, maybe a little bit more down here where it's thicker. There we go. And again, matching that up with the little cross section. Try to get that as centered as you can. Just like that. Okay, and we'll move on to, I guess this would be the right side of the house, even though it's left of the back. And let's get that in place, like so. There we go. Beautiful. And then of course we have these 2 little rectangular pieces left. And then we can start putting together another section here. I think maybe we'll build the base real quick. Get that out of the way. I have a feeling that if you make one, you're probably going to want to make all 3, because I'm really going to jazz this up as far as the display goes. And I think I don't know if I mentioned it during this video or the previous one. They're all starting to kind of blend together, but I was saying that there's no rule that you can't mix and match your paper projects with other things, other craft materials. Okay, so that's done. We can put that off to the side. We've got our panels. We can put those off to the side. Those will be ready to go here in a bit, but let's talk about the base. Okay, just like we did on House C, we did put a little foam board inside of the base to help stiffen it up. It's optional, but definitely recommended. But if you don't have it, it's okay. But if you do, you also have this little template. You can put that on your foam board and just trace around it, and then with an X-Acto knife, just cut right at the line. I'm just kind of illustrating it until you have this piece here. And just double check your work and make sure that it actually does fit in there okay. You can kind of fold it up, okay, like that, and that looks good. So what we're going to do is actually construct the base first by gluing the necessary tabs in place. And I'm going to move all of these tabs out of the way real quick. It'll make this part of it a lot easier. Okay, so let's start over here on the side that has the little lid already hinged to it, and begin by applying glue to this little tab here. And I'm going to spread that out nice and thin. I do want to get some glue all the way up to the top there. Okay, and then just kind of hit it with your finger, take off any excess. And we're going to tuck that behind the neighboring wall on this side. Tuck it right back there and press and hold to get that to stick. You can actually, probably easier if you put that down on your surface, and then you can grab, say, a little dowel or something. I'm going to grab a real skinny one and just get it right into that little corner to help push that down into place. Okay, and there you go. That looks great. So we'll move over to this side now, and let's apply our glue to this tab. Okay, and just kind of spread that out with your finger a little bit if you can get in there, and tuck that behind this wall. And you see what I did there? I moved the tab out of the way so it's easier for my finger to grip it. And I'll place it down on my table and use my dowel to really push that into place. It helps it dry a lot faster too. And you have a really nice little corner piece there. Okay, so 2 more left here. Let's get our glue on this guy here. And the dowel really helps. Another little thing you can do too to help kind of spread that glue out, since it's hard to get your finger in there sometimes, just use a scrap piece of paper. Okay, and then we're going to take that, tuck it behind this wall here, and just press that and hold it for a second with your finger. And then, as I mentioned, you can flatten it out, put it on your surface, and then use a dowel to really push that down. That just helps the glue kind of get into both sides of the paper, the tab and the wall, and it makes it dry a lot faster. Or maybe not dry, but at least grip a lot faster. Okay, where did my scrap go? There it is. I'm just going to use that to spread that glue around. There we go. And I'm going to tuck that right behind this wall and press and hold. Give it a few seconds. And you can take it and pop it on your surface and press down with a dowel. Very helpful. Okay, that looks great. Now we can take these tabs and fold them back towards the inside of our little base. And here is our foam board. Just throw a little bit of glue in the center there just so it sticks. Pop it right in. It doesn't have to fit perfectly, as long as it's in there. There we go. Now I'm going to take and apply glue to these 3 tabs. Maybe a little line there at the bottom. And we're just going to close the lid on it. Okay. There we go. Spread that out nice and thin. Okay. All right, so now we're going to go close this up. Whoa. Go ahead and take that lid, close it up. Focus on getting this side aligned first. The side closest to you, opposite of this side. Okay, get that nice and lined up. And then if you need to kind of nudge the left and the right walls in, do so. And then press down so that everything is nice and flush. Should have a nice clean seam. And that foam board in there really helps, because you can really push down on that. Okay, take a look at your work. If there's any areas there where you still have the paper kind of sticking up, hold it down for a few extra seconds. That glue is still tacky, and it'll still grab it just in time. Okay, that looks great. Wonderful. So now when we flip it over, you'll notice that there are some little score marks here. That's to help us with the placement. And there's an area that's unused here, and that's going to be for our little stone and things of that nature. Okay, so at this point, we are now ready to, well, with this one here, it's a little bit different, actually a little easier as well. What we're going to do is we're going to take these pieces and glue them to the sides of the roof here, and that's going to help form this whole shape. Okay, and now this section here is actually going to come out and then down. Okay, we'll show you here in a second, but we're actually going to start by gluing it to the center. So what I'd recommend doing is putting glue on one of these tabs, preferably this one here, or this one, doesn't matter. This one's just closer for me. And spread that out to the very edge, all the way down to the bottom. And grab this piece. And you want the very point of that to be lined up with the point here. So it's basically right on top of the very point of the gray piece in my case. Okay, just press that down and hold it. And then we can go over to the other side and apply our glue here. Spread that glue out. There we go. And we're going to tuck that in, grab the other half of this, and get that lined up as well. Oops. Careful there. And if you need to, you can put that down on your surface and press down from the inside. That's fine too. Okay. And now you can see here on both sides, you need to do the same thing. The bottom, the last tab there is going to overlap a little bit, and that's okay. But what we want to do is put a little bit of glue on this first gray tab. And I'm just going to thin that out a bit. Tuck that behind the trim. It should be nice and flat. There we go, just like that. Give that a quick little push. And then we'll go over here to this guy. And we're going to tuck that in and behind the other tab, pretty much as far as it'll go, but we do want it to line up with this trim piece. In my case, I think this is, I want to say it's rust. Let me see, is that rust? Crawfish, close. Okay, I'm going to put that down on my table, grab my dowel, give that an extra press for good measure. Let's give it a push. There we go. Okay, so that's all nice and in place. We're going to do the same thing on the other side here. Whoops, careful there, Leo. Start with the tab closest to that fold where the top part of the roof is. Tuck that behind the trim, line it up nicely, and press and hold for just a moment. Shouldn't take long if your glue is nice and thinned out. And the last tab here. Spread that out and tuck that behind and just try to get it at the right angle there. There we go. And just hold that in place. Like I said, it may be helpful to put that down on your table and press down with a dowel, a very thin dowel. This is like the thinnest one I have, I think. Okay, perfect. So now I'm going to go to the other side. And we need to apply the roof just like we did. So let's start on one side. Doesn't matter which one. I'm just going here. And I'm spreading that glue out. Nice and thin. And that's one thing you'll notice about our projects compared to projects from other websites where you may even see assembly videos. I feel like we're providing more complete instruction so that your projects come out looking exactly how you thought they would based on the photos you saw on the website. Okay, so we'll go over here now. Now, it's hard to move this now out of the way because the other side is already in place, but we can just pop it out real quick and then just snap it back under very easily. Just lift this up and that goes right under there. And again, just line that up with the very edge there, all the way down the tab, down to the bottom. Perfect. Pop that down on my surface and then, grab a dowel or a pen or whatever you have nearby to help you push that down into place. And then just like we did on the other side, we've got two tabs here. Now again, this is going to be a little difficult, well, not hard. It's just you can't really move it around like we did the first time to get it out of the way. I'm just going to do both of these right now. Got a little bit of glue on the tip of that there. It's okay. We'll figure that out in a second. And just tuck that back underneath. The first one needs to be flush with this flat portion of it right there. And then you can tuck that other one behind and get it at the other angle there. Okay, just press that down into place. I'm going to flip it and press down with a dowel before it dries. I kind of let it go too soon. That's okay. There, just use that dowel to give you that downward pressure. And since it's thinner, we're really putting way more force on there because we're using just as much power on a smaller surface area. Okay, so that just leaves this side here. We've got two more little tabs to go. And I am all over the place right now. I just kind of took a break for dinner. I came out and I'm a little out of the groove. Got to get back into the groove. Okay, just lift that up, tuck that under, get that first one lined up accurately, and then take that second one, tuck it all the way back so that it lines up with the bottom part here. And I'm actually going to do this on my table and just push that into place. There we go. And you can see how nice that looks. And if this is kind of flaring out a little bit, like it's kind of bowing or round, you can just crease it right here. It'll snap into place. Okay, so there's that. And as far as the roof goes, we've got one side with a chimney, one side without. The side without a chimney, it needs 5 of these pieces, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's no cutouts on them. They're all just solid. So we can actually start with that. And the way that this is going to work is we don't actually have anything else but these shingles, which is good. And you'll notice that on this piece, there are a series of score marks to help you with the placement of each layer here. Okay, so this one, you're going to take this and bump it right up to that score mark. You could even cover it up slightly. You barely want to cover it up. Just a smidge, okay? So let's start getting this glued into place. We'll start with this one. Get your glue all the way out to the very edge of these pieces. We want them to be very flat and flush along the front and back here and here on our roof. Okay, so again, taking that and butting it up to the first set of score marks, the closest to the bottom, and use your thumbs to kind of center it, make sure that it is in fact centered, and just press that down. And I would give the very ends here a little extra push, whether it be with your finger or with a dowel. You can kind of just push down and make sure that that's sitting nice and flat. Okay, so same process here, moving up the roof. Just continue applying glue to the back of each of these little shingle pieces. Okay, and make sure that you've got that glue out to the edges and line it up with that score mark, center it, and push it down. And there we go. Make sure it's centered. I kind of was off center a bit, but that's perfect. All right, so moving along here, again, we're using just the solid pieces here. There's no cutouts. Go ahead and apply your glue. Make sure you're getting it out to the very ends here. And go ahead and take that and line it up with the next set of score marks. Just kind of butt that right up to the next one. And press that into place again, making sure that it's nice and centered. There we go. And if it helps, take your little dowel, just add some extra pressure there, right in the corners. And these are going to be kind of going down a little bit because we want it to cover up the previous layer. Try to keep them nice and flat while you're at it. Okay, and here we go. Next one. Now this is very timely because I'm actually going to a place called the Bierstube in New Lenox, Illinois tomorrow for dinner with my girlfriend's parents and some of her family. And they've got a great performer there by the name of Peter, who, well, he plays accordion, he plays the trumpet, he plays all kinds of great tunes, German-inspired tunes. I always like to dance to Edelweiss, for those of you that are familiar with the sound of music. That's one of my favorite tunes from that Julie Andrews film. Okay, so again, here's the last one. Now with this last one, we want to make sure that we line it up with the very top of the tip top of the roof here. Those are our little score marks this time. Okay, so just all the way to the top, nice and flush. Again, making sure it's centered, left and right. And focus your attention up here as well as along the sides. There we go. And there we go. I can pop that down. Now we're going to move over to the other side where things are going to be a little bit different because there are two pieces that have some cutouts in them to make way for the chimney. Okay, and you know what? Actually, I should probably put the chimney in real quick just to have that in there. So here is the chimney, and there's also a little cap that we need to put together. But you want to pre-fold everything like so. And then you're going to just kind of take it and wrap it around itself to create a box. Okay, and then you're going to notice that there's some triangular tabs, and then there's this little cap at the top. This is the top, and these tabs, we're going to be using these to anchor the chimney to the roof. And I'll show you how that works in a minute. In the meantime, we can just kind of move those tabs out of the way. We're going to put glue on this little trapezoid sort of looking tab. Okay, I'm going to hit that with my finger. I'm going to grab the other end and just match that up with the other end here, like so. Now technically, to make this easier, you can flatten this out. Get these tabs out of the way, and then you can just literally push it down flat so that it's literally paper thin. Since this is a symmetrical piece, we got it in the right spot, and now we can unfold it. That is where we made our connection right there. Okay, these tabs, again, we're going to use these later, but this little top here, this little cap, we do need to glue down now. So go ahead and get your glue on these little tabs. I'm going a little bit heavier with it because I'm just going to take my finger and just kind of dab that glue all over the tab there to get perfect coverage. And then you can go ahead and close this up. So just take and close that cap. Get that lined up, and if you need to kind of nudge the walls in a little bit, that's totally fine. And then flip it over like so, and take your dowel and push from the inside. There we go. Okay, so now what we're going to do to get this guy ready is we're going to poke him through this little hole here. Just pop it right through. And pop it up like this. And you'll notice these tabs here. Now we're going to glue these to the inside of the roof. Okay, so you can take and fold one of these over. Just a few little drops of glue will do, and then take it and push it over onto the inside of our roof. And we can go over to, while we're holding that down, flip another one of these tabs over, throw some glue on there, and then take it and flip it over onto the back of our roof. And then we have two more to go. A little dot there, flip it over, and press that down. Obviously, I'm pushing down from this side as well to kind of create some pressure going that way as well. Okay, and the last one. Just a dot of glue will do, and then just push that into place. And there we go. Now the cap, I'm not worried about the cap. We can do that in a minute. But let's start with this here. We're going to start with two solid pieces, okay? Then we're going to grab this piece that has the larger cutout, and then we're going to grab this piece that has the cutout on the folded portion, and then we'll finish it off with a solid piece. Okay, so in that order. I'll remind you as we go, but let's get this one going. This is no different than what we were doing on the other side, so you're familiar with this process at this point. But make sure, again, get that glue out to the very edges here on the sides, and let's get those in place. Okay, folded part at the bottom, and find your first set of score marks, pop that down, kind of use your thumbs to make sure that everything is centered, and you can use a dowel to get into that little nook and cranny there. Push that down and make it nice and flat. Okay, so next, again, another solid one. Same process. So as I was saying before the transition to making the chimney there, my girlfriend's name is Liesel, actually. And as those of you that are familiar with The Sound of Music, you'll know that that name was taken from the oldest daughter. And of course, there's some German heritage there in her family, and her mom loved that film, so named her after Liesel. And so yeah, so Edelweiss is kind of our little song that we like to dance to, which is pretty cute. Okay, so we've got that one in place now. Now we're moving up, and again, we're going to grab this piece that has the large cutout, because as you can see, we got to slide it up around the chimney and then get it lined up. So we don't have to put any glue on the folded part, just these two little sections. Okay, so grab your glue, pop it on there, and that's a little flimsy, so I'm going to hold it from here and get that glue out to the edge. Oh, that worked out. Okay, and again, just kind of hug and go around the chimney, bring it up to those score marks. Try to get it as even as you can on both sides. Oh, what are you doing there, mister? And sometimes that's how it backfires when you spread the glue a little too thin. It tends to dry a lot faster, but that's okay. It worked out. I'm using my little dowel just to get that little corner in place so that it's kind of hard to get my fat fingers in there. There we go. I'm going to push that down like so. Perfect. Okay, moving up here to the next one. This is where you're going to have the cutout on the folded part. So we have an entire solid piece, just like we've been doing. So this is no different, minus the fact that it's just going around a chimney. Okay, excuse me. And we're going to come in from the top here, bring that down and line that up with the score marks. And again, make sure that it's nice and centered. Okay, we're going to fold that down. And I'm just going to put my little dowel there in the corner where I can't really get my fingers. And that looks good. Bring that down. Now I was just looking at this little area here, and I noticed that that really did not stay very flat for me. I don't know why, but I can just take and pop a little bit of glue right into that area. And then press that down. Grab my dowel if I want to help. Much better. Okay. All right, so that just leaves this last piece. This one's going all the way to the top, so it meets the other end, so that hopefully everything looks nice and seamless. And we do want to put a little bit of glue, not only on the two sides, but a little bit at the top too. So spread it out to all three sides, top, left, and right. Not the bottom though, obviously. We don't need too much glue down there. And line that up with the peak of the roof. Make sure it's centered, and then just press that down. Rub off any excess glue that might be up there. Okay, again, working the very ends here, making sure they're sitting nice and flat, and then we can bring that down a bit, and there we have it. Okay, so our chimney is going to be on the right-hand side of the structure once it's actually done. We do have a little cap that we can build real quick. I'm going to take these trapezoid-looking tabs, move them out of the way, so it's easier to get these little triangular ones glued into place. You can see there's one there, and there's one there. We're going to start with those. Okay, just a nice little dot of glue. Don't need a lot. Maybe just a little more on that one. And just spread that glue around on that tab. Make sure it's nice and coated. Then you're going to take that and fold it behind the adjacent wall and press and hold. Same thing on this side. Bring the wall in, press and hold. I'm kind of doing two sides at the same time here. If you need to do one at a time, that's fine. And just press that into place. My fingers are getting kind of sticky here, guys. I know you guys mentioned this. It happens to you. And it does happen to me too. Try to keep them wiped off as much as possible, but not always possible. Okay, so that just leaves 2 more little triangular tabs here. We'll put some glue on there and then tuck those back behind the little wall. Okay, there we go. And just tuck those in. Move the lid back out of my way. Why is it not going in? There we go. Okay, and then just push that up against the inside wall of the adjacent section. Same with this. Give it a quick press, and that should be it. It's a pretty small little piece, so it will definitely test your dexterity a bit, but you got this. Okay, so once you have that together, we'll go ahead and throw a couple thick little drops of glue on there so I can take and just kind of dab that all over the tab. Also, while doing that, it's thinning it out so that it doesn't take as long to dry. There we go. Should be pretty much all covered there. And then you can take the little pizza lid and just bring it down, close it up. And while you're lining up the side, or the front, the side opposite of the side that had the little lid hinged to, you might need to push those walls in a bit while you press down to get the correct shape. But that looks fine. Mine looks good. It's not going to be, this is a really small shape, so give yourself a little bit of slack if it didn't come out the best, but it should look like that. Looks like a little brick of gold. Why wouldn't that be nice? Just build gold bricks out of paper. Okay, so let's, while we're working on the structure of the house, it's a good time to throw a little bit of glue on top of the chimney there so that we can affix the little cap to it. Okay, and just try to center that as accurately as you can. Take a look at it from various vantage points, the side, the top, the front. Make sure it looks good. And then you're in good shape. It's pretty flush too. So I'm happy with that. We can put this off to the side now. We've got our base, we've got our roof, and all that's left to do now is assemble the main structure and then put the panels on, which is pretty straightforward. And then actually have a little stone step that we need to put together, but that's easy as well. Okay, so this is the back, this is one of the sides. We're gonna start by putting glue on this tab here, and we're gonna attach this to the other half of the structure. Okay, I'm gonna spread that glue out the very edge of the tab. I want this house is actually, it doesn't curve, it's straight up and down. So you can actually do this on your surface here, on your table. Just line that up as accurately as you can. Okay, I'm gonna push down initially, not too much, and I'm gonna fold it over onto itself at that seam. And check these tabs here, they should be sitting right on top of each other. And that's a good indication that you've got everything lined up properly. Okay, and it looks like, actually, you know what? This one is a little bit curved. Never mind. I thought it was straight up and down. It's not. But that's okay if you do it this way. At least on this side, we can do that. So these tabs will actually not match up. My bad. Okay, but make sure that that is all nice and connected. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take and put glue on this long tab and close this shape up and make it somewhat solid. Okay, nice thin little line there at the bottom. There we go. That I can put down flat. Now this we're gonna have to actually assemble in the air, as I like to say. Can't use our surface, but line that up nicely right up to the edge and make sure the top and the bottom line up as well. Just try to be as accurate as you can. That doesn't mean we can't use our surface to help us with the pressure. You can actually put this down on your table now and push down on the tabs from the inside, the tab that we just put glue on. Okay, I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. Let me just make sure I'm getting all of it. And another thing you can do is you can actually take a dowel Let me see if I can show you through there. Yeah. Take a dowel and press down right in the corner of that with the dowel to really get it to stick. So you have a nice clean seam right here. It looks like it's kind of bowing right there. I might need to, you know what, once we put the trim on, you're probably not going to see it, but I'm kind of I'm a little OCD about this kind of stuff. So if you have a little area of this, it's not sitting completely flush, and you want to clean it up, just grab a scrap piece of paper and just kind of grab and just put some glue in there. That's on the edge of that little scrap piece, and then just give that a quick press, and it'll sit nice and flat for you. Just need to give it a little extra love. Anything worth doing is worth doing right. There we go. Yeah, I think once we put the trim on there, you're probably not even going to see that, so I might just be wasting my time here, but it's okay. I like it when everything is nice and precise. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to close up the top and kind of create a stable base for the roof once that's all intact. So the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take this piece with the little tab here and get it glued. Actually, I'm going to get it glued to this piece here first. Okay, so let's put some glue on this little tab here. And this is going to be covered up. This is completely structural, so I'm not worried about perfection with this as far as getting the glue out to the very edge. No one's going to see that. We're literally going to put the roof right on top of it. But you just want this in place, like so. And then we're going to take this and glue it down to these two tabs here. Okay, so go ahead and put glue here on these two tabs, like so, and then pop this right on top. Okay, so that's all in place. That looks good. And now we've got these little strips here. We're going to apply glue to this tab as well as this tab, and then just get that right in place. Again, this is all structural. We don't need to pull any glue out to the edges or anything like that. Just want to make sure that it at least is grabbing onto it and it's in the right spot. That glue is going to work wonders. That very little that we used, it'll be totally fine. Okay, so we'll go over to the other side and put glue on these two tabs. Same thing, just mirrored. And fold that over, match it up with this tab as well as this bottom tab, just like that. Should be nice and flush there. Even if you're off a bit, it's not the end of the world. Because like I said, the roof's going to go right on that. You're not even going to see it. Okay. But before we do that, and this is literally like one of the last steps here, so we're almost done. We're going to start off by putting the side pieces on first. Now you'll notice that these are pretty much a mirror image of each other. Now, normally I'd say it doesn't matter which one you use, but it kind of does because of these little stray pieces, okay? So with this one, this is the front of the house. So we're going over to the right side of the house. And the right side of the house, you're going to need this piece here. Okay, so a quick way to tell the difference is the bottom left stone. There's only one coming off from the side, where on this side, it's in the corner. Okay, so that's going to be for the left side of the house. This one's going on the right side of the house. And we're going to just glue this right on, making sure that it's nice and centered and flush with the bottom. We won't worry too much about what's happening at the top here because that's going to be hidden. Our main goal is to focus on the bottom. Okay, but we do need to get glue on this entire piece here. Don't overdo it, just enough to make sure that it holds, and try to get some of that when you're working the perimeter. Go out to the edge as far as you can while still making contact with the paper, obviously. Okay, and if you see any big squirts of glue that you know for sure are going to come flying out, just wipe them up with your finger before they get a chance to do that. Okay, I'm going to pop this right on. I'm using my thumb as kind of a guide there at the bottom. And then, again, make sure that it is nice and centered. Now you may feel with your fingers that this piece is slightly overlapping or kind of going over this vanilla surface, and that's okay. It's actually by design. We want that to be about a thickness of paper wider than the vanilla base, so that when we put the front on, everything kind of comes together and looks more seamless, so you don't see that lighter color shining through the corner. Okay, so if you kind of feel here, you can feel that it's slightly hanging over, just barely. Okay, that's fine. So now make sure everything is nice and flush on all sides, and we'll flip it over to the other side now, and we'll put the other one in place, just like this. Okay, so get your glue going. Nice and easy. We don't want big blobs of glue. Nice and thin. There we go. And then take a look at it, just look at it real quick and see if there are any little areas with maybe too much that you know are going to spill out. Hit those with your finger, get them out of there before they cause any problems. And again, nice and centered and also flush with the bottom. Kind of using my fingers to feel it for the centering. Now just because it felt centered down here, it was still off a little bit on top, so make sure you're thorough with that. That should meet nicely up there at the top. I'm going to flip this over onto its face and push down from the inside. What a great combination of colors here. This AC vanilla with, in this case, we've got a, oh boy, what color is that? That's, is that chocolate? I think it might be chocolate. Yeah, that's AC chocolate. AC vanilla and chocolate, what do you know? Who would have thought that they would work so well together? Okay, so both sides are on. I'm gonna go on the back. Actually, that's the front. Let's go on the back here and get this piece ready. Now again, this is the little door, so we don't want to put any glue on this. Leave that alone, but we do want to put glue on the stone portion, or in this case, there's a slate, I think, or ash, AC ash it is. Okay. There we go. Wonderful. Okay. That is the back. Just make sure it is the back. And with this one, you just want to line it up with the perimeter. And while you're doing that, you know, obviously check and make sure that it's within its boundary or its face. And you'll also notice how beautifully it just kind of snaps into place as well. And mine's a little low, so I'm going to kind of pull it up. That's pretty flush there at the bottom. Flip this over onto its face. Now press down from the inside to get the rest of that to really grab a hold. Okay, perfect. It's looking great. Let's take a look. Yep, and that seam is barely noticeable. It looks great. Almost looks like someone actually built this out of real lumber and stone and so on and so forth. So now all we have left is the front. So let's apply our glue there. Obviously on the back, not on the front. This is just the front of our house. Okay, there we go. A little bit there, a little bit there. Gotta kind of work quick here. We got a lot more surface area to cover, and that glue is not gonna stay wet forever. I think that'll do it. And I'm gonna use probably the door as my initial guide for placement. I'm looking at the main part of the door, the square, and then those two little triangles just above it. And then I noticed that I gotta kind of nudge the top over to the left a little bit to get everything nice and centered, but that is perfect. Boy, the engineering on these are incredible. I'm gonna put this down on its face and press down from the inside to help that really get a good hold. Okay. And this is the reason why I didn't put the bottom on this yet, because I wanted to be able to get my hand in here and push that down, and look at that, very sharp. Everything is making great contact, perfect, very good. Now one thing I want to mention here as far as this door goes, what I did, let me show you in the prototype. We have a little Velcro dot on there. Many of you have used those in other projects. So you can use a Velcro dot right there. I would put it here and then peel off the back, press it down so you know exactly where it needs to go. Or if you have a tiny little Zot, that'll work too. And just don't push it down too hard and it stays. Okay, that's fine. All right, so next, well, at this point, we can get the roof on. Why don't we do that? Okay, so obviously we want, as we mentioned earlier, well, first off, we do have this little window that we can put on here. Let's just do that real quick before we put the roof on, because this allows us to actually keep this thing nice and flat on our table without squishing the roof. So grab this piece. You have two shutters, one on each side, and we're actually going to, you can leave them open if you want. I think I'm going to close mine. Get that nice and centered right on that window there. Whoops. Get over there. And again, another reason why it's helpful to not put the bottom on yet. So you can push from the inside, and this is kind of awkward. It's because I'm touching the shutters. I need to just touch right here. There we go. And press that down into place. Now you can leave these open if you'd like. Yeah, based on our sketch, or Ron's original design, we're actually going to kind of leave these closed for the most part. So what I'm going to do to keep them closed is I'm going to grab a tiny little foam square so that it's not so obvious, and I may even actually make it even smaller. There's no rule saying you can't do that. Just trim a couple of these tiny little foam squares. Peel that off. And again, this is if you want to keep yours closed. That's up to you. I'm going to be partially open. And just peel off the backing on that. And there you go. Okay, so it adds a little bit of dimension. You can maybe leave one open a little bit more than the other. It's up to you. This is like, you know, just play dollhouse and do whatever you want to do. I'm just kind of showing you the vision that Ron actually had when he created this. There you go. Okay, and you'll have a little bit of light still leaking out of there. And again, you know, if you use something like a foam square, you can just lift it up and leave it open a bit. And actually, you know what? I'm just going to leave one open. Just like that. That's cool. Okay, so that's that. What's left here? We've got a little step to build, but in the meantime, let's just put the roof on. Now you'll notice on the roof here that you do have a set of vertical lines towards the bottom here. If you're looking at it this way, it's vertical, as well as here. And that's kind of the center point. You want to try to get the actual house in between these points so you have an equal amount of space on both sides. And remember the chimney, you want that on the right-hand side. I guess you could make it on the left. It's up to you. But to get this in place, we're just going to simply put some glue on, in my case, the AC vanilla portion. If you want, you could even put a little bit of glue right there, right at the peak of the roof. And just pop that into place. Again, sometimes I just say these things out loud so I remember, but we have the chimney on the right. And I'm just going to grab it from the inside, and I'm kind of just looking at it from this angle here to make sure that I've got it centered. And I can actually see the little score mark from this vantage point here. It's right about there. Okay, and that's indicating to me that I'm also centered there. Make sure that it's nice and flush up against that peak of the main structure. That's usually the best indicator that you've got it spot on. And then just give those a good press on the sides too, so that they make good contact with the rest of the main structure. Okay, so give that a few seconds. Now I'm seeing one thing that I'm going to fix, and once you're done with your project, you might want to do the same thing. Just kind of give it a once over and just double check and make sure that you're completely happy with how everything turned out. And I am not right now, actually. I'm not very happy with how that turned out because it is not on the peak. There we go. I don't know how I missed that, but that is much better. Perfect. Okay, great. Looking at the top here, I noticed that when I put some of the shingles on, the top shingle from the first section that I worked on, I'm not sure I got enough glue right out to the very edge of this. So I'm just going to add a little bit more into the spot that is kind of not completely flush. And I'll just press that down and give it a little extra love. Okay, so right now I'm having an OCD moment, but of course that comes with some great tips on how you can improve your projects too. Perfect. Okay, great. So that looks awesome. All that's left to do now is put the bottom on this. Okay, here is your bottom piece. And I'm going to start with let's start by affixing it to the front. This is where the front door is, so I'm going to do the front first since we're going to be looking at that most of the time. And just get that nice and centered right onto that tab. Give it a few seconds. I'm going to pull that tab up, or pull this piece towards me so I can get my fingers back there, like so. Roof's in good shape. Okay, and then we just need to close it up. So peel this back for just a few seconds here while we apply glue to the remaining tabs. I'm not worried about getting that glue out to the edges here. It's simply a structural thing. You won't even see it. And then go ahead and close it up. While you're doing that, just do make sure that it's straight on. Okay, and then you can put that down on your surface, open up the little door, and press down from the inside to help those tabs stay in place. And let's take a look at the final result here. That looks great. Look at that. Okay, so now it's just a matter of affixing it to the base, and I do have a little stone step that we're going to assemble here, but let's get this in place first. So flip this over and get your glue all over the bottom of this. And at this point, if you want, spread that glue out to pretty much almost the edge, just so that it makes better contact and you don't see any gaps between the base and the actual structure. You've got a series of markers here. Try to get that aligned nice and centered on the marker. Okay. And press that down with a little bit of force. This thing's very sturdy, actually. And you can see what that turned out to look like. Very cool. And of course, you're going to decorate, or actually add and incorporate an electronic tea light. Don't burn your village down with real candles for this. Obviously, it's not a good idea. But let me just show you real quick the little step that we need to assemble for the front of the house. I'm going to take the tabs and move them out of the way, leaving just these 4 triangular tabs. And we're going to apply our glue to each of them so that we can affix them to the neighboring or adjacent walls. So I've got the glue on that tab, tucking it behind this wall and pressing and holding. Now this is the lid here. I just folded it back so that it's a lot easier to get my finger in there. I'll show you here in a second. Okay, so you can see here, that's the lid, but I just moved it back so I could literally just squeeze it right here where I need the pressure to be. Okay, let's move over to this side here. And just applying some glue onto that triangular tab. I think I might have some dry glue on there right now. That's okay. All right, tuck that behind the adjacent wall, the wall that has the lid on it, and press and hold. There we go. And now we just have 2 more little triangular tabs on the other side. I'll move that out of the way for a second. You can see them there, nice and lit up. Okay. There we go. And we'll take that, bring that wall up, press it up against the little triangular tab. And there you go. Okay. All right, so hold that in place. And now we take these 3 triangular tabs, 2 small, 1 large, almost looks like a dimensional envelope. Like we're sending a little mouse a package or something. I wonder what he would like. I'm guessing maybe some kind of nuts or some cheese or something. Okay, so apply the glue to these 3 remaining tabs. And because it's so small, I'm just going to take and kind of dab that glue out to the very edges of each of the little triangles there. And then take your lid and close it up. And then if you need to, kind of nudge the 2 walls left and right in a little bit while you continue to press down from the top. And there we go. Okay, so there's our cute little step. And that's really going to do it. Put some glue on the bottom of that. And you're going to pop that right onto your platform here, right underneath the door. Make sure it's nice and centered. And press that down into place. And that should stick for you. Okay. Last thing that I do want to mention that you'll notice in our final versions, and we've done this before, is the little poof of smoke coming out of the chimney. Now, as far as the little poof of smoke goes, you want to just pull a little bit of cotton off of a cotton ball. And now we want to obviously keep this relative to the size of the chimney. Okay, so that's probably enough. And just kind of form a ball at the bottom, and then take the top and just start kind of twirling it very lightly. Okay, just kind of so it looks like smoke coming out of a chimney. And that's too much. I kind of keep some of it together, like a bulk of it, so that we can just wisp the very top of it. I think it helps not to have sticky fingers, so I might have to do this off camera, but you get the idea. Just want to create a little thing of smoke, and if you get real creative with it, you can even pull more out and kind of twirl it at the top, and then kind of curl it back the other way. But you get the idea. And then just glue that right on top. That looks really bad because my fingers are sticky, so I'm gonna have to do that when I clean my fingers off. But just take a look at the photo of the final version of this, which this is the final version minus the little wisp of smoke. So yeah, aside from the little smoke thing, which I'll do after I wash my hands, it's done and it looks great. This is gonna look great next to my other one. I've got one more to make. Can't wait to see what all 3 look like, and then I can't wait to kind of create a centerpiece out of that and decorate them with, various faux flowers and foliage. Probably something more along the lines of winter, since we're kind of transitioning into winter. But either way, I had a great time. I hope you did too. If you enjoyed this video, please visit us on YouTube and hit that subscribe button and hit that little bell so that you get notifications anytime we release a new product. So that, and also if you make this or anything from our new bundle, I would love to see it, and so would the rest of our community. So head over to your Facebook and do a search for Dreaming Tree Group, or you can just type in this little URL here at the bottom. So anyway, thank you for hanging out with me, and as always, I look forward to crafting with you again. Hey, thanks for crafting along with me. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, check out some of our other videos, and also please consider hitting that subscribe button. And don't forget to visit our site and check out our free SVG section, where we have over 140 free SVG files complete with assembly videos. I look forward to crafting with you soon.